From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell. ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, I'm the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Wednesday, November 15, 2023. A lot to talk about, a lot going on here, multi sports, the MAC, NBA, NHL, college hoops, tomorrow the NFL, great game tomorrow. Thursday night, Ravens and Bengals. No T. Higgins as usual. That's for another day. Shout out to the gentlemen behind the glass, Joseph Shea, Evan Lewis, Cade Horton, Olu, and Bennett. And shout out to our proud partnership and sponsor, WagerWire. If you haven't already, please go to Google Play. Go to wherever you download your apps. Download that WagerWire. You can see the logo right on the top right corner here. It's free. And what is it? It's a way for you to start tracking your bets. It's a way for you to check on your ROI. It's a way to you to window shop. Start downloading the apps and sports books that are available in your state. Why pay minus 128 when you can get minus 118 somewhere else and save that 9 cents or 10 cents, which doesn't sound like a lot, but at the end of the week, month, and year, it all adds up. And it's that time of year where we are 40 days, 45, 50 days from Christmas. And at WagerWire, they got a great affiliate program. So send them an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD sent you from ECSI. Travis, Zach, and the rest of that great team and community will take good care of you. So without further ado, let's bring in the co-host of this show, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening, my friend. Happy Wednesday afternoon and evening. We've obviously been a couple days since we've talked, so glad to be back with you here. But I am ready to rock and roll. We've got a handful of basketball games going on tonight. Unfortunately, not as good of a college basketball slate as I had for our show yesterday on the solo show. Another night of some Big Ten teams coming up short. These numbers keep saying they've got a chance in some of these games, and they keep coming up short. So the perception of the Big Ten can keep piling on in the negative sense there, and hopefully we can get some winners here on some Big Ten teams here in this next week or two as we continue with some college basketball. But nonetheless, it was a fun night of basketball for a lot of those games. A lot of these big games there, aside from, I think, which maybe outside of us, we might not think of it as a big game, but Wisconsin obviously gets the doors blown off of them. But these other games last night were obviously pretty fun to watch. So it was a good, another kind of not a kickoff night, obviously, but another good, immersion for a lot of people into the Big Ten basketball season, I think, last night.
Yeah, ECSI VIPs 2-1 last night. Winnipeg Jets team total. We had over 3.5. They scored 6. It was funny. We don't get. I shouldn't even be saying this because in the beginning in 2015, 16, 17, got trolled every day, and it was horrendous. They don't come out anymore, but it was funny. Me and Andrew did a show yesterday, and the producers cut up 3 clips for 3 of the releases that Andrew had, and one of them was the over in the Jets Devils game of 6.5. And one troll came on and wrote garbage, and another troll came on and who hadn't tweeted in 6 years and says, "Oh, this is dead. Neither team's going to get to 4." And it was funny. It was 0-0 after one, and it was 0-0 with about 10 minutes to go in the second period. Then the Jets scored 2, and then the Devils scored 2 right after them. And then the Jets take a 3-2 lead going into the third period. Final score, I think, was 6-3. But the point is, I went back in the morning, and I don't even get into the troll scene. I went to go. I was going to be sarcastic, but let's just say both of the tweets were deleted real quick. So shout out to those 2 gentlemen that came on board yesterday. Our only loss yesterday, we had the Creighton team total over 88. I think they had 41 at the half, and they went on a big run to start the second half. And I think they had literally 85 with about 8 minutes to go, and they ended up with only 92. Iowa with a late run. I enjoyed that game. I thought it was a good pace for both teams. Hats off to Iowa. They do what they do, is shoot, but it's not a team that Iowa matches up good with Creighton. Same style. I think Creighton just has a little more talent this year. But where I wanted to start is our only loss. 2 of our sources, one had an over-under 150. One had another over-under a 148.5, and that was the Providence, Wisconsin game. The number closed at 140. We had over 140. Wisconsin had 15 points with about 4 minutes to go in the first half. I did tweet angrily, "Hey, Whiskey, this is not the Big Ten here." And I'm not here to chastise the Big Ten, but as you said, they have not come out. I thought Iowa looked good. Some other Big Tens have looked good, obviously Purdue, but is this the same old Whiskey team?
It's starting to look like that. I mean, that was when you and I talked on Friday, this past Friday, kind of previewing a few of these teams. It was this is a massive season for Greg Gard. Is obviously 1 and 2 is not the start they're looking for. 2 tough losses. The one against Tennessee, they didn't look too bad. Still at home, obviously. This one, they did look bad. And it's a team that if they don't figure themselves out, and like we said, I don't remember what my exact prediction was, but if they don't get out of the opening round, let alone maybe even to the Sweet 16, Greg Gard could be gone. And if they don't make the tournament at all, then Greg Gard could be on even before the season's over. So, and part of that issue is because, like a lot of these Wisconsin teams, at least during my lifetime with Bo Ryan, where you get to this point where you've got a lot of guys returning, you maybe add one piece, and it's like, all right, here we go. This team's just going to get better as a group, better as a group, better as a group. They actually adhered to kind of that natural feeling of teams that people have when we come into these college basketball seasons. When you have a group that comes together, you expect them to be better the next year. And Greg Gard's team so far, this is the second or third time now that obviously it's still a long way to go, but probably the third time where he's had a group like this that you would expect to make be a dark horse in the Big Ten, if not better than a dark horse and be a top 3 team in the Big Ten, and they just haven't looked like that so far. They do still have some games before we get into the conference play. They've got Virginia coming up, which I think is probably an off-site tournament, so maybe there's some more other teams in that tournament, if I'm not mistaken, too, that they could, add to that resume or potentially look even worse. But Virginia, they got Marquette, obviously their yearly rival in early December, as well as a game in Arizona. So they've got some tough ones where they can add to their resume, obviously. But if they don't turn things around, we could be looking at a 3-5 team, heading just before Christmas, where they've got a couple of duds before they get into conference plays. So I am worried that it is the same team, and obviously I think we'll see some wins out for this team and they'll look better. But they kind of need to have one of these big wins under their belt here in this next few weeks here against teams that are either a big program like Virginia or a couple of those currently top 5 teams. So. I don't know. That's one team that I think a lot of the Big Ten as a whole is going to look a lot better here in the next couple of weeks. But Wisconsin obviously is still a giant question mark for me here.
No shame in the Illinois game. Great game against Marquette. Marquette picked by some to cut the nets down. Definitely, Shaka's got a solid squad. I do fear them in the Big East this year. And great game. I had that on again thanks to YouTube. I can watch 2, 3, 4 games at a time. So I was able to catch them. The Big Four that played. A lot of talk. Kansas pulls away late, but the talk was Kentucky, and oh boy, they can shoot this year. Just when you want to bury this team, Cal's got some guys, he's got some athletes and players. Be interested to follow Kentucky there. A tough spot for Michigan State with Duke coming off the loss to Arizona. Again, Michigan State's woes from three. I mean, it's like that GIF with that guy launching the threes, and it's not even, he's missing by 35 feet. They cannot throw it in the ocean. I thought it was a perfect get well spot for Duke there. And I talked about the Big East in general, how long they are this year, and then the return of Villanova, and Villanova goes and lays an egg the other night at Penn. I think that was on the Monday show that we talked about. But you're starting to see, some teams. I watch BC. I watch UConn, Mississippi Valley State. I was looking for Jerry Rice. I didn't see Jerry Rice anywhere. Shame on Coach Hurley putting them on the schedule, but a get well spot. They're going to be playing some tougher games. But overall, your assessment of what you've seen so far in the first, 9-10 days.
No, I mean the Big East, like you said, there's not much else to say other than what you did as far as a lot of really nice teams. Obviously, I think this is going to be not a resurgent year like we had maybe 5-10 years ago, where the ACC was the talk of the town, like this Big East kind of looks like this year. But I do think you're going to get a little ACC. You're kind of already seeing, obviously, some teams take care of business. Obviously, Duke had the one loss, but some teams that kind of had, been middling teams, kind of borderline NCAA tournament teams, kind of get back into the mix of being a team that's getting a lot of love nationally and top 25 teams, whatever it is there. So I think the ACC is going to start looking decent here this season with Duke, Miami at a couple of teams at the top there. And then I'm curious to see what happens with the Pac-12 this year. It's obviously a conference that we always kind of sleep on heading into the tournament, and then they show up and have a really nice tournament. You saw last night USC team, which I didn't have a chance to actually watch myself, but USC loses to UC Irvine, or one of the UCs, one of the other smaller UC teams. And beyond Arizona, it's a conference that I think, again, you're going to have Arizona look really, really good. And then maybe one or two teams that kind of make a deep run that you might not have expected in the tournament. But top to bottom, it's not going to be quite like football, where football is getting the perfect send-off for the Pac-12 season, in my opinion here, at least during the regular season. I think it'll be another one where we kind of overlook them. And then, like I said, maybe you have a team or two that's, making a name for themselves as we get into it. And then the SEC has some good teams. I think there's going to be a couple teams that are ranked nicely here that might fall a little bit. And a couple that might make some waves, and obviously, something's got to give for Tennessee to make a deeper run in the tournament this year. They did look pretty good, whatever it was Friday night against Wisconsin. So I think you'll get a couple of a really, really nice season at the very top of the SEC, and then a conference that has a few that are a few teams that are a little ugly there in the SEC. So it's going to be a few teams that I think have some really, really nice records with feeding off the bottom of that conference there. But at the end of the day, outside of that, obviously looking for the Big Ten to make a nice little resurgence here. But again, it's a conference that, as compared to the SEC, where they've got a couple teams that are really, really bad, Big Ten's got a bad team or two, but there's a lot of teams that wouldn't shock you if there's the team that's projected bottom 3 in the Big Ten is knocking on the door and is a 9-10 seed in the tournament. There's a lot of teams at the Big Ten that could exceed their expectations, and a lot of teams that, like last year, I think it's going to be filled from the 7 to 11 seeds is going to be the majority of what their rankings are. But like we've talked about, it's not going to be a total pushover, despite what the perceptions are right now. So Beyond that, I'm curious to see what these couple of mid-major teams that are in the top 25 do. You and I talked about FAU. You've got Gonzaga up there, who's probably going to roll through most of their schedule again. So, don't expect too much different than what we've had in the past from Gonzaga. But I think there's probably a mid-major team that we haven't been talking about too much, or the national media hasn't been talking about too much. That's going to make a little bit of a nice surgence. Obviously, James Madison's top 25 right now, but wouldn't shock me if they had some ugly losses and faded to irrelevancy, as nice as they looked there. So beyond that, I don't think I have too much else to add as far as college basketball. That Iowa team you mentioned, kind of the same Iowa team. They just don't have a star like they've had, whether it's the Murray brothers or Garza or whatever. So it's going to be a team that's going to win a couple of games and maybe pull off an upset or two in the Big Ten. And I think has a good chance of making the tournament. Could be an NIT team, but going to have some ugly losses, in my opinion, probably as they've had the last couple of years as well. So going to be at least a Jekyll and Hyde fun team to watch there in Iowa.
No, and I think the Big Ten last year with the Purdue and Zach, the number one seed overall falling the first round of the tournament, come back. They're as strong as ever. But again, the thought process with Painter as coach, they can't win the big one, yada, yada, yada. And last year, you and I had penciled in maybe an Ohio State or an Indiana to make a sleeper run there. Showed some flashes, but again, that Ohio State couldn't get over the hump. Indiana caught fire late. But every other day or every 2 days, beating each other up. Nebraska even had a couple big wins last year in the Big Ten, shocking some people. And I turn it over to the Big East. Again, every road game is a war. Any game you win on the road is another notch in your belt because it's not easy to win on the road, especially in the Big East. The SEC, I think, will be a little top heavy. I like Kentucky. I'm a big fan of what Tennessee's got this year. Interested to see what Florida does. Interested to see what Arkansas does there. Big 12, again, it's Kansas's to lose. What does Iowa State bring back? What do the Texas Longhorns have this year? Just to name a few there. And out in the Pac-12, again, UCLA, USC, it's roll the ball out. Oregon, another team. I love my late night Pac-12. I enjoy watching it. So it's just a breath of fresh air for me, especially on November 15th, able to talk about that versus some of the other stuff that's here on the board.
No, 100%. And no, I love my late night Pac-12 too. I think we'll still get some late night traditional Pac-12 teams, but it might not be the Pac-12 anymore going forward next year. But I obviously it's still going to be the same thing. Only the big conference I didn't mention. Yeah, it is Kansas is to lose, but obviously adding Houston in from a basketball standpoint obviously spices things up quite a bit there. And a conference that I've always loved watching, and one of my more successful conferences from my betting perspective the last handful of years. So I'm curious to see what we look like there. A lot of tough places to play there as well. So a lot of teams that might be middle of the pack in the country, but going to pull off an upset or two probably in the Big 12. But like you said, Kansas is to lose, and then Houston is really the biggest contender there, obviously.
Exactly. They've had 2 great years as well there. 2 games in the MAC tonight. Nothing special, nothing to write home about. I'm trying to switch my screen. Oh, give me 1 second here. Football. We got Buffalo and Miami. I had a true number of 10 with a 41 down to 7.5 and 37.5. So money coming in at the Circa on both Buffalo and Miami of Ohio. And then Central Michigan, Ohio. I had Ohio at 9 with a 45.5. Now 11 with a 48.5. So money coming in on Ohio and the over there. Wondering your thoughts on those 2 games.
You know what? It's kind of been that sense for me on the MAC where you get obviously sometimes there's 3 games going on, but for a conference that always had the MO of points. I mean, I've talked about it before. These point totals are way lower. So, but at the end of the day, it's kind of been one where you get one going over and actually flying over, and then one kind of ugly paint drying game or 24-10 type game or something like that. So I don't know which one I'd say. You got a 37.5 total. So maybe I flip flop and go the other way around with it. The actual 48.5 being the under and the 37.5 going over. But I don't have too much stronger thoughts. I haven't had as much love and success with the MAC this year, other than kind of staying away and maybe playing an under here at times. So I don't have strong thoughts. I guess Buffalo only being 7.5 point dogs, unless I'm missing. And again, I haven't been following the MAC as much, so maybe I'm missing something with an injury or something like that. But 3-7, 7.5 point dogs at an 8-2 Miami, Ohio seemed a little short to me. Obviously, the total is pretty low there, but that one at least seemed pretty short to me there.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, Buffalo was on Tuesday or Wednesday night, and there was a big move on them as well. I think they might have been home that time, and they got rolled. And actually, I'm here. I am now. I had the opponent team total over, and they put up a bazillion points early. They did nothing in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, they got first and goal from the 2 going in and fumbled, and Buffalo just held on to the ball. I watched that. There was snow. It was as ugly as a game. It was. I thought I was
Was it
watching
Toledo?
Pop Warner. It might have been Toledo. Yeah. It was probably it was they have zero offense, and I'm looking at the team total of 14 and a half under minus 135 at my respective book over here. This is one that I would take the Buffalo team total over 14 and a half plus 115. Hell no. I'm sorry. Hell to the no. I mean, I saw enough. There's no way I would go there.
Yeah.
Miami of Ohio, 23 and a half over. Now I'll pass there. Central Michigan, 17 and a half under minus 125. I can get them over 17 and a half at plus 105. Here again, a 45 and a half. Now a 48 and a half. I might lean there. I've had no luck with Central Michigan in the past. And then an Ohio team, 30 and a half to the under minus 120. And the 30 and a half to me has always been a trap. So I don't see a lot in the MAC tonight.
Nope, I'm with you, and I mean, you just looking at the comparisons there. I can't disagree with you at all. And that Buffalo team, it's one of those ones where you can swallow that pill, but sometimes you watch a team and you just can't put it together in your head how they're going to get over that 14 and a half. I'm sure neither of us will touch it. We'll say all this and they'll score 35 or something like that. But sometimes you just can't put it together in your head and find those points for yourself. So. I'm with you. I'm staying away from the college football slate tonight.
Yeah, and again, lots of times, I mean, there's a 3-point move in both, and there's a 3-point move in the totals. Lots of times they want you to follow the money. They're trying to set the trap. I don't see it anywhere. Even, maybe the one thing I might try to get cued on if I had to play is a Miami of Ohio first half play, maybe, but I don't see much in the MAC today at all. There's a bigger slate, obviously, in the NBA, so I'll turn the board over to you to go through the NBA.
All righty, that sounds good to me. We've got first one up. This is a team that's had a couple of losses recently. I believe you got Kyrie questionable in Dallas on the road against Washington here. That might explain why you've got a line of this, as close as it is here. But you've obviously got a 2-8 Washington team who's, if not the worst team perception-wise, or in my opinion, the worst team on paper, they're pretty darn close. Excuse me. So to see this one at 5 was pretty slight to me, even if Kyrie is out of this one here. Looking like a couple spots back up to 5.5 there, but big number on the total, 244, 244.5, whatever it is there. Dallas's defense has kind of escaped in the last 4 games. Offensively, they've still been kind of hanging in there, but 2-2. The 2 wins, they've got plenty of offense themselves, but a lot of points allowed, and then the 2 losses there. Decent offense, but still giving up over 120, 127, 130 a game here. These last 4 or 5 here, and you got a Washington team that's kind of struggling offensively there. So might be interested in, you got Washington over 119.5, over 120. I don't know what to expect from Dallas's offense tonight, but it's a defense that's just not very good. It's one where if Kyrie is in and this one is staying at 5.5, then I'm interested in Washington potentially there. If he's out and it's staying at 5.5, still seems fishy to me. But obviously, you can make more sense of why it's down at that number there. So I'm kind of backing off of Dallas these last couple of times. I've had a couple of those. I don't remember if I've had both losses that they've had in these last 5 games going against them, but last night I was absolutely pretty hefty lean towards the Pelicans, and they took care of business pretty easily there. So. I'm kind of backing off again. They've obviously got a back-to-back here and some poor defense last night. I'm kind of expecting Kyrie to be out of this one, but again, I think I said I expected something injury-wise yesterday, and within 5 seconds was corrected by an alert there. So I'm not going to do that again here today, but I'll lean towards Washington and some points on Washington's side of things.
We started the year 3-0 in the NBA. We're 3-2 now. Our first loss was one of the games that you and I broke down. Dallas 1.5-point favorites against the Clippers. The Clippers go out to an early 14-point lead. I think at the end of the first quarter, they had like a 4 or 6-point lead and get outscored in the second quarter by 30. And I was like, never again. And so this Dallas team can score with the best of them. I do have Kyrie questionable. I do have the over-under right now at circa at 245 and climbing with a flat 5. It's the NBA. Expect the unexpected. Probably, this is probably one of your, Dallas 125 and Washington 120. I mean, I'm looking at team totals right now, 125, 119 and a half. So I got no real good feel on this one at all.
No, me neither. And I don't want to be lurking on this one, but, if Dallas is up by 10 at half, maybe I'm interested in Washington at that point or something like that if we're talking about a back-to-back and they, could regret, lose some energy and, even worse defense or something like that. That might be what I'd be interested in, but it's a bad Washington team, to put it kind of simply there. And as bad as this Dallas defense is, it's a tough team to look for positives in with this Washington team here. So moving over to Atlanta, New York Knicks at the Atlanta Hawks. I see the Knicks as 1-point favorites. I see a couple spots that have Atlanta as 1-point favorites here. 230.5 on the game total. The Knicks, after a little bit of a rough stretch, 3 games in a row before losing a couple nights ago to Boston. Atlanta, on the other hand, has been going kind of back and forth here. I do see R.J. Barrett questionable, so not sure what to expect out of that one. You get Trae Young back. I don't know if he was back in their last game, but I know he missed a few days ago if it wasn't yesterday. Kind of eke one by against Detroit. It was a 4.5. They win by 6 there in Detroit. Thought that one was a little light there. Now you've got New York in town here in Atlanta. I don't know if I want to lean towards the Knicks, but this has kind of been a solid matchup ever since their playoff series there. They've been kind of going back and forth essentially there ever since I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was. So I'll lean towards the Knicks, but kind of a soft lean there.
If my memory serves me correct, which usually it doesn't, I think they've played twice already, and the road team has won each. I remember the Knicks in the spot to start the year, they won outright, and then I think a couple days later, Atlanta came to Madison Square and won. But I could be, am I right or wrong?
Just one time. You were right. They played October 27th, and the Knicks won in Atlanta already, so just a one time.
Okay. My overnight number was Atlanta -1 with the 230. Currently at the Circa, it's 1 with the 230 as well. There are some spots, Bet Online, FanDuel in Pennsylvania, where the Knicks are favored. Very simply, first one to 116 wins this game. So I'll go the ice tray from 3 to 116, 114 final. How's that?
That works for me. Like I said, I was soft lean, and I wouldn't be upset if I lost that one by any means. Boston and Philly, good game tonight. I don't know if this is the ESPN game, 6:30 my time, 7:30 your time. Boston -5 favored here on the road in Philly. Both teams 8-2. Boston 3-game win streak did not play yesterday. Philly lost their win streak yesterday with a loss at home to the Indiana Pacers. They obviously turn around now, are home for the Celtics here. I see Joel Embiid questionable on this one. Still in my projected lineup on my app here, but questionable for tonight's game. Is it fair to assume that Embiid is out of this one? I don't think we've seen a number this high between these two teams in Philly, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I could be incorrect there, but if Embiid is in, then I'm interested in the Celtics. If he's not, I kind of assume he's out. But again, I as we always say, don't like to assume with these NBA questionables.
They played about a week, 10 days ago. Boston was 1.5, and Philly got them. My overnight number was 3 with a 223.5. Now 5.5 with a 224. I think your eyes are spot on, kid. I think that's telling me Embiid will not play. That's why the number's so high. Both 8-2, and Philly's been an absolute covering machine. That number is embedded to me that Embiid will not play. But again, if he is playing, and I mean, how do you not take Philly plus the 5.5? Something smells in Mudville here. A 224. I think they're telling me right now 114, 115 to 109, somewhere like that. So I think if you like the Celtics tonight, take their team total over 114.5.
I like it. Like you said, this number has been closer to what the Celtics get in this matchup when they're in Boston, let alone here on the road here in Philly, even with the back-to-back situation. So I would be surprised if that is where it is with Embiid in town. Excuse me. So I like that though with the Celtics going over on their team total. I mean, obviously. Offense can show up when they're struggling. It's typically their offense that's struggling for my measure there. So, Milwaukee and Toronto, another one that Toronto not playing bad ball by any means. 5-5, kind of a team that not a lot of people give respect to. They've won 3 of their last 4. I do see. Looks like Giannis is not going to be playing tonight. He is out of this one. Gary Trent Jr. doubtful for the Raptors. Dennis Schroeder questionable there. Milwaukee gets a win in Milwaukee against my Bulls a couple nights ago. 9-point win as 9.5-point favorites there. No Giannis, as I mentioned here, 2-point favorite spread for Milwaukee. Still got Dame, still got Middleton. So the rest of the crew is in town here for Milwaukee in Toronto. I don't know. I guess I don't know how to judge this Milwaukee team without Giannis yet. You're probably going to get a Damian Lillard performance, whether it's good or bad. He's probably going to have a high volume of usage here tonight. So whether or not you think that's a positive or not, kind of depends on or is the factor of this game here. So I'll lean towards Toronto taking care of business, but it wouldn't surprise me if old Dame time is putting up 40 and the Bucks are winning this game by 10 points.
Yeah, my overnight number was Bucks -5 with a 226. Circa now, Bucks -2 with a 224.5. Unlike one of the games that we're going to come up to in a minute that we'll get to with LeBron, as I was doing a show in LA before this show, downgraded to questionable, and then Sacramento began to be 1.5-point favorites everywhere. This one, they know Giannis is out, yet they're still 2-point favorites. I think they're 1-8 versus the spread. If you like the Bucks tonight, do yourself a favor. Just bet the money line. Do not bet them -2 because they'll probably win by 1. I mean, the team total numbers here say 113, 111.5. We'll probably land 113, 112. So if you like the Bucks, no Giannis, still favorite on the road, take the Bucks money line.
Yeah, no, I like it. I do like it. This Toronto team has obviously been back and forth. Those 3 wins, last 3 of the last 4 games, 2 of them not very good teams. So could be less of an indication of how well they're playing. Got smoked by the Celtics a handful of days ago there. So I definitely like it. I'm a big Damian Lillard guy, so I could definitely see him putting up a nice performance there. Let's see. Next one up is in Chicago here, Orlando and my Bulls. Orlando 5-5. Curious to see what this Bulls team does here the last couple of days. There's been a lot of rumors surrounding this team, an organization of a teardown, a full teardown, which would be kind of nobody safe situation here. Is kind of the MO here from if those rumors are accurate at all. No DeRozan for the Bulls tonight. Caruso questionable. So 4-7 Bulls team at home, with all of those rumors swirling up against a 5-5 Orlando team, who's obviously been a little all over the place, hasn't been playing that great this last week, but still a lot of public love for Orlando there. No DeRozan, and the Bulls still favored here. It has me kind of leaning towards my Bulls here tonight in Chicago.
Yeah, the talk of Twitter and Bulls Nation is that Zach LaVine is asked for outs. Obviously, the Heat come right to mind there. But I think if you do trade him, you'd want to ship him out west somewhere so you don't have to see him there. I like where your eyes are, because I had a 2 with a 215 down to 1.5 and a 215.5. The first thought is, wow, this is an Orlando number, but as you said, no DeRozan and what is going around there. I guess I would lean Bulls money line here. Again, don't leave the 1.5 on the table. Also, wouldn't be shocked if they get run out of the building just because of what's going on in town, what the sound it is. I don't have a good feel on the temperature yet in the locker room, but usually when someone asks to be traded, there's some other disgruntled players as well. So I'm rooting for the Bulls tonight, money line. But again, Orlando's one of those sneaky teams. Could come into Chicago and lose by 20, or they could win by 15.
Right, and I'm not sitting here, screaming on the mountaintops for my Bulls. I'm with you 100% there, and it would not shock me at all if they got rolled out of the gym here. I really like this Orlando team. But I do lean the Bulls, but I'm with you. I could see them getting the doors beat off of them here tonight. Curious to see. I mean, Zach LaVine might put up 50 and they could lose, as they did already earlier in the season. He's going to be with no DeRozan. He's going to be volume shooting here tonight. And it doesn't, in the past couple of years, anytime these type of rumors have swirled, some of their players have kind of been quick to shoot stuff down. Zach LaVine has not really been quick to shoot this down. He's kind of been declining to comment on questions and whatnot. And the report is that he hasn't gotten over. Never gotten over head coach Billy Donovan benching him late in the loss against the Magic about almost exactly a year ago, November 18th of 2022. In a game where Zach, I'm just reading a tweet off here. In a game where Zach was 4 points on 1 of 14 shooting. And was still continuing to shoot. So we could see a reprieve of that one there, where he shoots 15 times at 5% and gets benched, or maybe he scores 50 points and they lose by 5 points, or maybe the rest of the team rallies around him there. So I don't know. I've saved some of my own thoughts here, but you could get anything out of this game here tonight.
I talked about this a year ago. And listen, I was one of those guys, my thoughts when a college coach is a college coach, be a college coach. And a lot of these guys, Nick Saban and, Pete Carroll, you had success. Saban tried the Dolphins. He ran back he goes to Alabama. What Billy Donovan did in Florida, it's tough to duplicate. I get the thought process. OKC and then able to come to the Bulls. Billy, you're a college coach. You're trying to coach these guys in the NBA. You can't do what you did in Florida. What is the talk about Billy over in Chicago? Is it, hey, it's a big name. We like him. The team is just hurt, Ball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you believe in Billy, or is it time for a change?
I'm pretty indifferent. It seems the organization is all in on Billy Donovan, and I think the fan base is pretty indifferent and is just sick of the team here. Because beyond Lonzo Ball, they've been fairly healthy the last couple of years. Obviously, you could argue Zach LaVine wasn't 100% healthy last year. I agree with you. That I don't think he's the guy. I kind of think it almost top to bottom. We have a lot of guys where they are good NBA players. I think he's a fine NBA coach, but at the end of the day, you're kind of limited. I've made a parallel to the NFL where you've got the middle of the pack quarterback where, the concern is that you get rid of him and you've got a dumpster fire at quarterback, but obviously you know what you have and your ceiling is limited. And it's not a direct parallel, but I kind of put Billy in the same sense there. And I think he would be okay if he was the coach of, a young team like Orlando Magic or something like that. And I think he'd be okay where you kind of have trying to teach these kids how to be an NBA players. But when you've got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, I've been vocal about, not their usage of certain players not making a ton of sense. And so that's been my criticism of Billy. But then it goes to, well, is that just DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine deciding that they want to play iso ball at any given moment? And that's kind of been the question mark for me. So I would be okay with seeing him if they tore everything down. I would be okay with him sticking around, but I also, if they got rid of him, I wouldn't shed any tears either is kind of the thing there. I'm very indifferent on Billy Donovan.
Gotcha.
Yep. So let's see. Minnesota, Phoenix, next one up. Phoenix 5.5-point favorites, 5-point favorites now at home here. 4-6 record. Minnesota, huge win streak. Obviously, talk of the town here for Minnesota was what happened last night in Golden State. I believe they haven't made any rulings yet, so I believe you still. I see Rudy Gobert still in the projected lineup for Minnesota. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. And then in Phoenix, you've got night one of the full trio of Booker, Durant, and Beal there. So interested to see what we get out of Phoenix here tonight. But obviously, you've got a team. I don't know what their win streak is now. Second night of a back-to-back here for Minnesota. As 5-point dogs, are we leaning towards Phoenix? Personally, I would like to, take a night off and see how this Phoenix team looks with that trio there, as opposed to, diving into either side here with the new trio, and obviously Minnesota with the big win streak as 5-point dogs here.
Well, anyone watching and listening that don't believe these guys don't listen to our show as we speak on Phoenix and Minnesota, it's lighting up like a tote board. An hour ago, I'm in LA. I talked about our overnight number of 5 and a 230, up to 6, some 5.5s, and now all of a sudden dropped down to a 5 with a 224.5. The initial thought, just look at records. Look who's hot, who's not hot. I think the public trendy dog here is on the T-Wolves. One of the rising stars in the NBA with Mr. Anthony Edwards. One of my favorites that I thought would be a Celtic by now, obviously, is Cat. They're doing it. They're playing great ball. In come Phoenix. Obviously, a marquee game, 9-10. Just reading the market, I'm going to say this out loud. It's a Phoenix number. I mean, how in holy hell are they 5.5 over this red hot T-Wolves? I get the back-to-back end of it. Team totals, 114.5 to 109.5. Let me just go over here for 1 second. See if there's any updates. No. Gordon, Beal, and Booker all probable. Nothing major on the Minnesota side. I'm going to take the Suns. I'm going to say the Suns win by a touchdown or more. I probably regret it in the morning. I like the fact the big three are there. I like the fact that T-Wolves played overnight, played last night, but the line dropped to 5, and the next move's going to go to 4.5. So if you like the Suns, hold off. I think it's going to 4.5.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially coming off a couple of losses here in their own building, let alone, just a couple of losses, a couple of home losses last 2. I think there's going to be a sense of urgency, and, if this was night one of Bradley Beal, it might be a different story, but you're inserting Devin Booker, who's played with Kevin Durant before, so I don't think it should be that big of a concern there. I'm interested to see how it looks. I'm excited to watch it, but I'm with you. I do think it's a Suns number as well there. We can skip over Cleveland and Portland, unless you feel is that feeling like a you've got a 4-6 Cleveland team up against the other one of these two perceived dumpster fire teams here, and they've been playing like it 4 losses in a row here. Ugly loss at Utah by 16 points. But a couple close games before that. Is this kind of a state number here for Cleveland, or is that just Vegas hanging a big number because anybody's going to be hammering this Cleveland team against Portland if it's single-digit number?
I looked at it and I had to do a double take. That's a number that says Cleveland made. My overnight number was 11 with the 224. They're getting what they want. There is a little Portland money coming in down to 10.5 with a 218. So 6-point difference on the under over from the overnight. Cleveland team total down to 114.5. Portland at 104. I think Cleveland. I like Cleveland. I think they're starting to move in the right direction. If I was to play this game, though, I take a look at the Portland team total under 104, 104.5.
104, 104.5. 6.5 point first half spread. Does that catch your interest at all?
Yeah, as it's dropping to 10.5. Sure, I'll take Cleveland minus the 6.5 as well. First half.
That's kind of what I'm. Yeah, first half. Yep. All right, and then last one, last ESPN game. You mentioned it. I think we are still officially monitoring LeBron James, whether or not he's playing. He is questionable right now. Anthony Davis is probable. But you've got the Kings and Lakers. Kings getting healthier, get Fox back. They are, I see 1-point favorites here. And I think they are 1-point favorites across the board for the most part there, with the Lakers as the home 1-point dog right now. Kings win 3 in a row, get their first win with Fox back the other night at home. Now on the road here against a Lakers team that's also got 3 in a row here. So it's one where another one where if LeBron is in and we're sitting right around to pick him, then I'm interested in the old Kings. Even if he's not, I may be interested in the Kings as well there. Interested to see what this Lakers team does. Interested to see I didn't see what he did last game, but making the move to get Cam Reddish involved and get him into the starting lineup and push Austin Reeves down to the second line there has been an interesting move. They've obviously been winning some of these games. If he can be consistent and stay like that, we've seen him have some spurts here in the past. Cam Reddish there, so I'm interested to see if he can maintain that at all. Last night, 10 points, 3-7 shooting, not terrible, and then Austin Reeves still kind of being the same player off of the bench there. So, not what I kind of said this team needs something else in their starting lineup and push Austin Reeves to the bench. I did not expect it to be Cam Reddish. This early in the season, I would have expected maybe a move later in the season there. And I do still think they need a little firepower if they're going to be any type of actual contender here. But if Cam Reddish is giving them that off the bench and allowing Austin Reeves to be that guy off the bench, I like that for the Lakers a lot there just in general. But as far as tonight goes, obviously watching the LeBron James news, probably fair to assume that he might be sitting this one out, but obviously don't want to assume. Might be a couple of hours before we know, but I'll go ahead and I guess lean towards the Kings if he's in, and lean towards the Lakers if he's not in. How about that?
Yeah, I was doing the show and I got the update that he was downgraded to questionable. My overnight number was 233 with a pick'em, and there was some spots where it was a pick. There was some spots where LA was 1. Now I'm seeing DraftKings Kings -1. Caesars New Jersey Kings -1. Bet Online still got the Lakers -1. Currently at the circa 1 with an arrow pointing down, which means their next move will probably go to a pick'em again. 235.5 and 235 for the under over. I think there would be a lot of points scored tonight. If you want to just go grab some popcorn, root for the overs, please do there. I got a team total of Sacramento 118, the Lakers 117.5. I think if you like the Kings tonight and you don't want to bet the if they win or lose, I like their team total currently 117.5. in some spots, 118 in others. I think they get to 120 or better. Fun game to watch. Lakers 6-0 at home, struggling on the road, but back to back. Father Time catching up to the 39-year-old. No need to press him in a back to back. I still think they can win without him. As you said, they're starting to add more pieces, meaning relying on the Cam Reddishes, bringing Reeves off the bench. And this is what they need to do for the long term and let almost LeBron facilitate, let AD facilitate. You need some help here, guys. And you got some good talent around you. Don't be afraid to use it.
Yep, 100%. I think they've got one move up their sleeve to bolster this lineup here the next couple of months, but as long as Reddish is at least in this level of consistency and giving some contributions, that's a nice step up there for him. So that is it for the NBA tonight, my friend. 4 games in the NHL if you'd like to take us home.
Yeah. I'll go over some team totals quickly with everyone here. Give me 1 second. Come on. Bear with me here. Having mouse issues. Here we go. Team totals. I'll get bitten again, but it's 737. Carolina team total over 3.5. That will cost you a little juice around minus 120, 125 there. Seattle, Edmonton, game 2 with the new coach. Again, if you like Edmonton, let me switch the screen for 1 second. Edmonton overnight minus 180, a 6.5 over. It's at 182 with a 6.5. I'm going to play the Edmonton same game parlay here for poops and giggles. Edmonton first period minus the hook, plus money. Edmonton team total over 3.5. And I'll say Edmonton wins the game outright. If you really want to get cute, go a regulation number there. Anaheim at Colorado. Colorado minus 280 overnight, now minus 303 against the Ducks. If you like Colorado and you want some plus money, here you go. Team total over 4.5. They need 5 or better, plus 140. Avs, team total over 4.5, plus 140 there. And Islanders in Vancouver. Vancouver, minus 160, Islanders plus 140 with a 6. Right now it's circa 143. You can get the Islanders plus 131 with a 6. I tell you what, Vancouver has been great. I tried to go against them early this year. I got bit in the ass. No more. Vancouver team total over 3.5 plus 105, Riley.
I like it, my friend. I like it. A little late night hockey action there. A couple of TNT games tonight to get you watching if you don't want to watch that NBA slate. So I do like it here tonight in the NHL. But aside from that, I believe we've covered just about anything. As far as closing thoughts on my side of the table, I don't have too much. I will be back tomorrow night talking all things Ravens and Bengals, as well as I think a short slate in the NBA. And then I think short slate all around on top of that as well. But nonetheless, talking big game in the NFL tomorrow. And then I believe we'll be back Friday morning talking college football, college basketball, Big Ten football, basketball. So ready to rock and roll for those things, my friend.
Yes, tomorrow, 10 a.m., myself and Julian Edlow from DraftKings will be here for the Breakfast Bankroll. At 1 o'clock, I will be over at Wager Talk and McGinnis Picks with Andrew McGinnis on our weekly Reciprocate. He's with us on Tuesday. I go over there on Thursday. Riley will be covering the closing bell as my wife's birthday is tomorrow, the last one of the quad. The 2 daughters, myself, the wife, and throw in the anniversary. So we're one day away from getting through all this. And then Friday morning, myself and Riley, 10:30 a.m., will be back for the Breakfast Bankroll. Big Ten preview, football and basketball, and we'll get you set up for the rest of the day there. Then a normal schedule in the afternoon, Sean Childs and myself and the dog and the Desperado fantasy show. 3 o'clock, 3 Men in the Box, Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills talking some NCAA football. And we wrap up on Friday night with the closing bell at 5 o'clock with Ron Marmoletsky from Ron A Sports talking more NFL and college. So great as always. Thank you to all that watched and listened. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investors, the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Have some fun. Cash a few tickets. Thank you to WagerWire as always and the boys, and we will see you soon.